We are young adults,
surrounded by a world of sin.
and this is
The Fire Within.
Hello, I'm Chase.
I'm Lawson.
And this is
The
The
Fire
Fire
Within.
Within. Welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, please subscribe, like, and tap that bell for more notifications on when we post.
Join us when we ignite your Monday night and we posting our shorter videos throughout the week.
Today we're going to be reading in John 15, and we're talking about the vine who is Jesus. So, verse 1 says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit, so they will produce even more. You have already been pruned for greater fruitfulness by the message I have given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful apart from me. Yes, I am the vine, and you are the branches. Those who remain in me, and I in them, will produce fruit. For apart from me you can do nothing. Anyone who parts from me is thrown away like a useless branch and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you stay joined to me, and my words remain in you, you may ask any request you like, and it will be granted. My true disciples produce much fruit. This brings great glory to my Father. And just to kind of dissect it, we stopped at verse 8 for those of you that are following along.
He cuts off every branch that doesn't produce fruit. He prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more. So this is like, he also said he is removing the things or people in your life to give you room to grow. He wouldn't remove anything that would hinder or stunt your growth and prosperity. Only the things that would choke out your stems and not allow for you to be produced. So like removing people from your life or things from your life, even if it's like just for a season, or like the opposite, like you get somebody for a season or something for a season.
You receive something for a season.
Yeah.
So honestly, it really is like a flower in certain seasons is gonna grow, or you have to take care of it a certain way in a different season. So when I first met Lawson, he was saying like, I'm realizing this friend does not help me grow closer, or like I'm realizing the things that this friend was doing that I used to think were normal are completely against our beliefs, and he had to prune them out of his life. It's the healthy thing that we have to do. And also sometimes in the Bible, it actually says that if we do not do it, God's going to do it for us in due time.
Yeah.
So what's going to be more painful, you making the choice or God stripping it from you?
Yeah.
So
that's good to know.
Yeah. What was your experience when you had to remove certain people from your life at first, and now how do you feel?
I feel healthy now, and like we talked about in the last episode, like with the Holy Spirit, man, like it's only grown stronger, and like the people that like used to be in my life, like I realize now, like that I'm stronger, like the things that they do, like stop my growth and in Christ.
Yeah.
And like my every little time, like the things I hear or whatever, like it just dims it a little bit.
Yeah. Another thing I would say for girlfriends is something my parents always tell me. There are choices that we think or that we know our boyfriend or our friends have to make. We can inspire them and we can push them and do all these things, but we can't force them to make the choices. Just as God gives us free will, through love comes free will. And my parents always tell me, like, don't force him. And I'm like, I'm never going to force him.
Yeah.
Because also the benefits that you reap through making the decision on your own, God honors that. He blesses the hard decisions that you have to make for him.
Yeah.
And like, it would have been such a lack of blessing if I would have forced him to do it. But him making the decision on his own makes him realize when he's at school or when he's around these people, that was the best decision I could have made.
Yeah. A vine cannot grow or produce fruit without care and maintenance of the gardener. It also says the Father is the gardener, meaning it's not just his job to take care of the plants, but his desire to nurture them. He cuts off every branch that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit, so they will produce even more.
It says that the Father is our gardener. And right now, we can take this two ways. As the Lord is the vine, or talking about you personally as your own branch off of the vine. So Lawson was saying, as his own branch off of the vine of Christ, he had to remove certain things. He had to prune the thorns that were wrapping around him and choking him out, right? And the Bible is saying in verse 1, I'm the true vine, the Father is the gardener. Meaning, a father, it's not his job to be a father, it's his privilege to be a father. It's his privilege to go to work and be able to care for his family,
Yeah.
to be able to pay for his family, and to be able to nurture them. Meaning, God enjoys watching us get rid of the things that are holding us back. He loves to watch us step away and grow to receive fruit and to receive blessing.
Yeah.
It's his privilege, not his job. So going into verse 4, it says, remain in me and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful apart from me. So we could be in the same garden as Jesus. We could be in the same field as Jesus. Our plant could be right next to Jesus. But if we are not off of his vine, off of his root,
Yeah.
we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. If we don't base like all of our decisions on
Mm-hmm.
him, like trusting him through everything we do, then he won't remain with us.
Exactly.
We won't remain with him. So that's something to keep in mind. We can't just be like, I'll do all these things for him, but then this one little thing, I want to do it my way, so I'm just going to branch off for one time and do it our way, because his way is the only way. So
Yeah.
he even talks about, I don't know, it might be in Romans, but it talks about like his way is the only way.
If you think about like the different types of plants and flowers, like there's like biannual or annual, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're just there and we'll die off eventually. But God's plant isn't just like a 1 year thing or a 1 month thing. It's constant through all seasons of life. And that's exactly why, apart from him, we cannot produce fruit, because we're only going to be there for a couple months and we'll die off on our own, right? The weeds will choke us out.
This is saying once you accepted Christ, he already removed the past pain and trauma, the disease, the sin, but it's up to you from there to continue reading his word and growing and removing all bad from your life, letting God be a gardener. Let's dive into what it looks like when Christ is the vine that you are growing and branching off of. Once you accepted Christ, he already removed the past pain and trauma, like everything. He removed your past. And that's just, it's big. I feel like just general. Even at chapel, there was a song that talked about like stop, basically it's like stop dwelling on your past because it's over now and God has you, and that just hit me right in the heart because I mean, like, like just the past, like it can still have a grip on you.
Yeah, my mom always tells me, if the devil can't get to you through anything right now, the best way for him to get to you is through your past.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
if he's right here and he has access to your ear, that's what he's going to do. If he's right here and he has access to your memory, that's what he's going to do. If he's right here and he has access to your sight, he's going to put your past right in front of you. He's going to put the temptation right in your ear. He's going to throw that thought into your mind. And that's why we can never let the devil get even this close.
Yeah.
Right? Because then he has access to bringing those things back up.
Yeah.
And this is saying you're a plant tangled up in all these vines, right? From day one when we were born into sin. And as soon as we accept Christ, he comes up, the gardener, and he snips all of those vines away, all those thorns away. Yeah. And what we do is we're able to blossom, right? We're able to reach more people. We're able to grow to our full potential. But if we go back to the vine, it tangles us up, it closes us up, right? If we go back to our old ways, but after we accept Christ, he got rid of it, and now it's up to us. It's up to us to go read his word. It's up to us to go dive in. It's up to us to keep up with getting rid of and pruning those vines.
Exactly.
What does it say on this page?
It says, remain in me and I will remain in you. Verse 4. And then the next thing says, if you are removed from Christ, you cannot produce fruit or lasting blessings. People of the world still find joy, but they are never satisfied or fulfilled. Apart from God, we cannot find fulfillment or produce true goodness. I even talked about this in my thesis a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
About how you may think you're happy in your sin, and you're completely right, because that's what your flesh wants.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We talked about
that. Yeah, but never will you be able to say that
you're
fulfilled by
World,
your sin and you're by Christ. And that's like, it's so important.
Mm-hmm. I think we could give an analogy for that. There are two plants, okay? There are two sides of the garden. And one of them is beautiful, and the sun shines on them constantly, but they die off pretty quickly. And the other side is probably not so beautiful for a while, and then it blossoms when it's at its full potential. That's exactly what it looks like in life. We want that garden that we're like, that is gorgeous, right? The sun is shining on it. There are all sorts of different colors. It's beautiful. Like, that's exactly what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And we could go back to it, and we'd have to buy a bunch more because they're going to die off. And we'd have to go back into sin because the temporary pleasure is over. And we have to go back in more and more and more because we're never satisfied when we're living in sin, no matter how happy you feel, no matter how beautiful the world may look. But you go to the other garden that is self-sufficient, sufficient upon the vine of Christ. Right?
When, like you said, like we want, like at first glance, we want the beautiful garden that seems perfect and everything, but then we have to keep like regrowing it over and over again because the sin, the world is temporary. The pleasures of this world are temporary. But we look at the other garden and it doesn't look like at first it's like not, it's like okay, but
The
it's
hard
not,
path.
yeah, it's the hard path. But once we realize what it really is, like talking about Christ now, like once we realize what it really is, like it's salvation, it's peace, it's love, it's nothing we've ever experienced before. We realize that we don't need other things to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
We don't need like temporary moments of pleasure like that to be fulfilled.
A branch produces fruit, but if you cut it off, the fruit and the branch die. Meaning, this is the vine, we're the branch, you may fruit, put a fruit on this thing, and that's the fruit, okay? So this gets cut off together, and the vine's still here. It can grow another branch, right? But this fruit is gonna decay and die and go into the soil. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this branch is useless. It's gonna dry up. It's just gonna go into the soil. It can't do anything. There's no roots on it. There's no seeds on it, right? So we can think, yeah, for this season, I'm really loving being a part of the vine. And your fruit grows and the blessings come and you're so excited and you go, I did it all on my own. I'm so happy with life right now. I don't need the vine. And as soon as you remove yourself from Christ, as soon as you close your Bible, as soon as you put a pause on the worship music, as soon as you start skipping that message, start skipping that church service, start going back into those friend groups, not only are you not able to produce fruit now, but you on your own as the branch, you also die and decay. Not just the fruit that God gave you. Yeah. So it says, for apart from me, you can do nothing. At the end of it says, such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. God's saying, I already know on that side of the garden who's about to get burned, right? But on my side of the garden, I'm looking out for all the people that are trying to clip off of me, and they get added to that pile. And it's saying, without Christ, you are a part of a crowd that's headed towards hell. You're going to be burned. If you are not a part of the vine, you're going to be burned.
Eternally. Staying
a part of Christ's vine allows many things to flourish in your life. Ask anything of me, and it will be granted to you, says the Lord. So we have a few verses here, and then after we read them, we're going to go into what you might have thought that this is what this is about, but it's really not. This is about the fruit.
Proverbs 1:10 says, my child, if sinners entice you, turn your back on them. And that's just like,
it's kind of hard. It's a simple saying, but it's kind of hard.
Yeah. If the things of this world, like at first glance, like we said with the garden, it may seem like perfect. and beautiful, and it's tempting.
It's exactly what
like,
your flesh wants.
yep, you'd be like, I want this. But if you stay strong in your belief on Christ, and you're a child of God, and whatever they're offering, like, you don't need in your life, and you turn your back on them. And like you say, it's not easy. It's not just like turn your back on them and you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
a magnet pulling you
Yep.
either way.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
let's go to the next one.
The next one, for Proverbs 1:15. My child, don't go along with them. Stay far away from their paths. That's kind of the same thing.
I'd say it's a slightly different because in the first version, okay, it's I need your hand again. You're my analogy, okay?
Okay.
So be straight. This is God, okay? Hold your hand up. This is me, and this is them, okay? Now, I can be facing God or facing them, right? But whatever's right in front of you is obviously what you're going to be pulled towards.
Yeah.
So this, in and of itself, this one turn takes a little bit. This next thing, let's tilt down this way. Yeah, is saying, don't follow their path. But who's in front of you? God is in front of you in the world. Which way are you going? Right? That is it's a different challenge. It's a different battle that you have to face because you could be one step already into the world's path and you have to turn around. You have to get rid of those friends. You have to quit that job. You have to stop looking at those things. And that is harder than just turning your back because it's a lifestyle. It's a decision that you've already invested your time and your energy and your walk into.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't realize that. Okay, Proverbs 3:7. Don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. And I mean, we talked about fearing the Lord too.
Yeah, I feel like we think that we know what's best, but we never know. And we also, sometimes we assume what God has for us, and it's completely off. Mm-hmm. So our whole thing for this podcast started in December, and God was speaking to me, and I was like, you're crazy, God. I'm not doing that. Yeah. I don't want to preach in front of a bunch of people. I'm scared of doing that. And I couldn't shake it. And I talked to my mom, and she was like, this is the Lord. This is what he's funny like this. Yeah. It's him because it's exactly what your flesh doesn't want to do. And you can't get rid of the feeling. Yeah. If it's the devil, it's exactly what your flesh wants to do, and you can't get rid of the idea. Yeah. It's tempting. That's why it's called temptation, because you're like, oh, I want it, right? You crave it. Yeah. I did not crave to do this. Yeah. And then I brought it up to him, and he was like, all on board. And I was like, okay, God, if this is supposed to happen. But it's saying, trust the Lord and fear his plan and turn that way, right? Because it's scary. It's scary to not rely on yourself. It's scary to rely on something that we cannot see and we have to put our full faith in, right? Yeah. But it is the best decision that you can make.
Proverbs 9:15-18. She calls out to men going by who are minding their own business. Come in with me, she urges the simple. To those who lack good judgment, she says, stolen water is refreshing. Food eaten in secret tastes the best. But little do they know that the dead are there. Her guests are in the depths of the grave. And I mean, this is obviously using a woman enticing men, which is the reality of this world.
Yeah,
that happens.
And be honest, it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard because that's exactly what every guy wants. Yeah, it's Christian or not. It's hard.
Losses.
And this whole thing sounds great, right? She urges the simple. To those without good judgment, she says, stolen water is refreshing, right? After a long day's work, we want water. Mm-hmm. Food eaten in secret tastes the best. But the last sentence says, but the men do not realize that her former guests are now in the grave. And I wrote on here, bad things can easily be disguised as good.
Yeah. It looks good at the start, and then it just leaves you dead. It leaves you in guilt and shame. And it's the sad reality that most men aren't gonna get over it for a long time, but I just I pray that they do. And
Yeah.
that, you know.
Let's go into the next verse.
Okay. Next one, Micah 6:15 through 16. You will plant crops, but not harvest them. You will press your olives, but not get enough oil to anoint yourselves. You will trample the grapes, but get no juice to make your wine. You keep only the laws of evil King Omri. You follow only the example of wicked King Ahab. Therefore I will make an example of you, bringing you to complete ruin. You will be treated with contempt, mocked by all who see you. You will do things, but nothing will happen. Like saying you will plant crops but not harvest them. Like
You're in the
do
wrong soil. You're on the wrong vine.
exactly. I was gonna say that you based your vine off of the world or something else that's not Christ, and like you said, not the right soil. I mean, that was one of the messages that we heard at church. Like if you're ready to receive like a seed, like you need to have the right soil for it to grow.
Yeah.
And that's really important to know.
Yeah.
So Luke 6:45. A good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart, and an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. What you say flows from what is in your heart. And that in and of itself it actually is good. Like
That's just good.
That's just good.
If a pastor did that, would anyone learn? Reads the verse. Yeah, that's just good. Well, basically.
Yeah, that's what I would say. It's done.
Yep. Over.
No. But in reality, this is good because like your heart's desire is like how you will flow. Proverbs 22:24 through 25. Don't befriend angry people or associate with hot-tempered people, or you will learn to be like them and endanger your soul. And this just goes along with what we were already talking about. You are who you hang out with.
Yeah.
If you hang out with this one person so much and like they do this one small thing that you don't like, but you're like, well, I like them, then you might even realize that
they could be good people who do bad things.
Yeah.
And that is a danger to your soul.
Yeah.
Can I see this for a second?
Yes.
Let's replace the word so you guys can fill your shoe, okay? Don't befriend lustful people, or you will learn to be like them and endanger your soul. Don't befriend haughty people, or you will learn to be like them and endanger your soul. Don't befriend greedy people, prideful people. Each thing that you want to put in this slot, don't befriend gossiping people, or you will learn to be like them. And it doesn't just say you'll learn to be like them and it ends. The last sentence says, and endanger your soul.
Yeah.
The habits that we create are leading us to the next steps of our life. The habits that we create are leading us to the decisions that we're going to make, from the small decisions that we make to the big decisions that we make.
Yeah.
And it all starts with who you're surrounding yourself with.
2 Samuel 22:26. To the faithful, you show yourself faithful. To those with integrity, you show integrity.
This is saying you're a faithful person, and then I walk into your house, you invite me over, and we're hanging out. Mm-hmm. And I'm faithful now. Because you're faithful, so I'm going to be faithful, who I'm hanging out with. Okay? Mm-hmm. Then my other friend calls me over, and I go sit on her couch, and she has integrity. So I have integrity because I'm hanging out with someone with integrity. But switch the roles and make it, again, like we just said, I come to your house and you're an angry person. And you're fueling me to be an angry person, right? Yeah. You're a lustful person. And you're sitting here talking about things that are making me and my flesh lustful, right? Tempted to do these things, to become and make choices that are wrong. Yeah. But in the Bible, it's saying to the faithful, you show yourself faithful. Because that's who you're surrounding yourself with.
You like present yourselves differently to other people. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a big problem with, like, I feel like there's so many problems in today's world, but like fake people pretty much is what I'm saying. Who act like this based on who they're with. And they change
I'd say let's change the term fake people to insecure people. Because
that's good.
I feel like insecure people are the fakest. Because they don't know who they are. they've lost their identity.
Yeah.
So when they are around someone, they're adapting their qualities. You good there?
Oh, my eyes are dry.
Okay.
Proverbs 13:20. Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. Who you walk with, like who you base your path off of, like including Christ, like are you surrounding yourself with good people that will just fuel your spirit, man, and get you stronger, or are you going to fill yourselves with fools and get in trouble, like the verse says?
The Bible talks about how the wisdom of this world is worthless, but wisdom granted from God can save your life. And this is saying walk with the wise and become wise, because true wisdom comes from Christianity. So us walking together is only making us grow in our spiritual wisdom, only letting us grow in our physical wisdom in this world. If we associate with fools, they don't know where they're going, but into trouble. They're going to lead you into traps.
Psalm 1:1. Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or stand around with sinners, or join in with mockers. If you do not listen to what they say, what like the woman says, your temptation says, the ungodly say, you will realize that you become more joyful, and you just like you get stronger.
Like we said, the spirit man, like your light
Yeah.
is growing.
Yeah, it's growing. You get stronger, and or sit around with sinners. If you waste time with them, you'll realize that they were never good for you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't waste your time with them. Colossians 3:10. Put on your new nature and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like Him. And
Yeah.
this is a huge thing for me. Like shedding
talk about it.
off my past and renewing like my mind, my soul, and my heart, and put on your new nature. That's good, because I mean, like when your nature is of this world, then you only do what like the world wants.
Yeah.
And you base your vine is the world. Like you base everything off of like, oh, what will they think?
So you're gonna grow flowers of the world's vine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they may look beautiful for a moment, but then
they shall pass.
Yep.
This too
shall pass. Exactly, yeah. And like put on your new nature. Shed off your past. It's over now. Once you accept Christ in your heart and decide to live like Him, and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like Him. Once you decide to go all in Jesus.
And I would say this too for new Christians, like what Lawson's saying, you have to start fresh. And you're going to be this big of a seed. And the people around you in the church or your small groups are going to be different sizes too. Do not compare or let anyone else degrade your relationship with Christ. Only be around people who are helping you grow, not beating you down into the soil, right? Yeah. When he became new in Christ, he was a tiny little seed. The first time he accepted Christ. Then you go into the world, and all of us have been through this, or most of us at least. And you get wrapped up in the vines. And you know what has to happen? You have to start fresh. You have to get chopped down. The branches and the weeds that wrapped around you have to get removed. And you have to start fresh again when you dive back into Christ. No matter how far along you are in your life or how far along you are in your relationship with Christ, you are on track. You are on the right track. And you could be this big or you could be a big blossoming flower, but you're both serving the same God, and you're going to grow. And your time will come for when you will grow. Yeah. The first devotion that we ever did together when we started dating was John 15, which is exactly where we're reading right now. On our anniversary, we were talking and we were like, what devotion should we do today? And we just randomly flipped to John 15 and we're reading it and we're like, oh my gosh, this is the first devotion we ever did together. When he started, like we were talking about earlier, started getting rid of the people in his life, the past that he was involved in, right? The world, when he started getting rid of that, I had this picture for him that God gave me. And this is how I'm going to present it to you. So you go to the store, right? And you get a carton of blueberries, of yummy, fresh blueberries, okay? And not all of them are perfect. and they're all different sizes. They all are different shades of blue, right? And you're looking through it, okay? And on the first day, there's only a couple bad blueberries in the thing, okay? And you take out the good ones that you want, right? And you eat them. You close it up, put it in the fridge. The next day, more of them are bad, right? Because there were bad blueberries in there. So you take the ones out that you want, you put it away, and eventually all that's left is bad blueberries. But when you see it like this, it's a carton full of good blueberries with only a couple or even one bad blueberry. And what's happening to them is the more time that those good blueberries are sitting with them, they're getting smothered in and spoiled, getting rotten and gross, and it's spoiling their potential to be chosen, spoiling their potential to be used, right? And say God's the one buying this carton of blueberries, and we're all in there with great plans for our life. You're in there, but you're surrounded by bad blueberries. You're the one that's sitting next to the bad blueberries, and you're the one getting spoiled, and God is not able to use you in that season because you're choosing the world. And you could be a tiny baby blueberry, right? You're just pruned, you just hopped onto the vine of Christ, right? And you could be a tiny baby blueberry who you think is not going to get chosen, but if you are surrounded by the right people, your potential is so much larger. You cannot put a good blueberry in the midst of bad blueberries and make them good. It doesn't work that way. So no matter how good you think you are, no matter how good girls you think that guy is, guys who you think that girl is, no matter how good you think they are, if they are bad and you think you're so good that you're going to change them, but mom, I'm going to get him to church, right? But mom, he's going to change. And you know what? Maybe for a season, you're just friends and you bring them to church. Maybe for a season, you're just planting small seeds in their life without getting spiritually attached to them. But you cannot put yourself, a good blueberry, in the crowd of bad blueberries and expect all of them to turn good without you getting your light dimmed, without you getting a little bit spoiled. So this is what we call the bad blueberry effect. And it's just how we explained it. You put one bad blueberry in the midst of a bunch of good ones, and they can all turn bad. But you put one good blueberry in the midst of all bad, and they can't turn good. It just gets overtaken. You could put 5 good ones in the midst of bad ones, and it's still going to happen. You are surrounding yourself, choosing to surround yourself with bad blueberries. Your potential is getting spoiled. Until you remove yourself from that situation, until you prune yourself from those vines, until you attach yourself to the vine, to the Creator, and be gardened by the Father, nurtured and cared for, you're stunting your potential by staying on that side of the garden, by staying in the world's soil. So the last verse I want to say says, verse 9, I have loved you, even as the Father has loved me. So remain in my love. When you obey me, you remain in my love, just as I obey my Father and remain in his love. So this is harsh, and it's hard, and we're here to help you and to walk with you through this journey. And we once in our life, twice in our life, 5 times, right? However many times, have messed up and had to start fresh or had to pick up where we left off with Christ. And it's hard to turn away from the world, just like we had our pillars, right? And it's hard to walk on this path that looks hard, but it's going to lead you to great things. The Lord has promised great things, and the world is so tempting. I want to go on this side of the garden because the flowers are beautiful. But when I look over here, they're all thriving on their own. And it's because they are growing off of the vine, and they are being nurtured and cared for by the gardener. Do not spoil your potential. Do not make all of your choices turn to bad, turn to the world, because you see a group of friends that might make you popular. because
Yeah.
that's exactly what your flesh wants. Do not ruin your future or ruin all the days to come because you put yourself in the midst of a bunch of bad blueberries. There are so many good blueberries out there that have the potential to be chosen together, to be chosen to do great things, to start great things. But it starts by pruning yourself and growing off of the vine. And I promise you, in due season, much fruit will be produced. Many blessings will come. You will prosper, and you will fruitfully fill the earth with all of your talents, with all of your decisions that you make. You will impact so many people's lives. And you can do that from afar too. You can have 2 cartons of blueberries, and one is full of good and one is full of bad. And from afar, you can minister to those blueberries. But don't put yourself in the midst of something that's going to wrap around you and choke you out with its thorns. Rely on the vine and produce much better fruit, long-lasting fruit.
No, that's not like saying like people can't change, obviously.
Yeah.
But like you said, like don't put yourself in a situation where you know like they're not gonna like listen to you, or like it's only gonna hurt you. People can change.
Yeah.
I mean, even if like you, not I don't know why I said you. Our pastor, there was one time he's I can't talk. He said a story about this woman who came to the door of an old angry man every single day, over and over again. The man just yelled at her, told her to get out of here, but she kept doing it to share the gospel to him over and over and over again. And eventually he was like, why do you keep coming back here? Like, I'm not going to change, or like, I'm not going to listen to you, or something along the lines of that. And then she was like, if I can save one person, then
yeah, she was basically saying like, we're called to love as Christians, and I love you even though I don't know you, so I'm willing to take all the rejection until you realize that I have something worth saying to sit on your couch.
Exactly. And then that man ended up being saved eventually.
But he like shared
Yeah.
and saved so many people's lives
He
after.
became one of the, like, I think it was in North Korea.
Yeah.
That's even bigger, because in a country like that, I mean,
yeah,
like that, saving her, trying to save one person saved
hundreds of
people. Yeah. So that's just like, people can change, but don't put yourself in a situation
exactly
to have you go back to where you were, I guess.
exactly.
So, yeah.
That's
what
well said.
I
Yeah.
would say.
Well, I think that's a good place to end.
It's a great place to end.
Well, we'll see you next Monday, and peace out.
Well, bam.